Welcome to Unmac Excel and to beautiful Stockholm, Sweden. I'm gonna give you an introduction to Excel. This is what we see when we enter Excel. At top, we've got tabs. We have got the Home tab, we have got the Insert tab, we have got the Page Layout tab, etc. But when we have entered a certain tab, of course we can't see the buttons on the other tabs. And because of that, there's also a quick access toolbar in the upper left corner of the screen. To add buttons in the quick access toolbar, I click the little arrow to the right. I want to add the command undo, so I go down in the menu and click undo. I also want to add the command redo, so I click once again on the arrow and click redo. And my favorite choices in this menu are New, Open, Save, Print Preview and Print, Undo and Redo. And the big advantage of adding the buttons to the Quick Access toolbar, of course, is that these buttons are accessible at any time. The main part of the screen in front of us consists of a grid and is built up by a large number of rectangles. The rectangles are called cells. If we look closer, we can see that the cell in the upper left corner of the grid is framed. We say that the cell is selected. To move the selection downwards, we use the Enter key of the keyboard. To move the selection to the right, we use the Tab key of the keyboard. To move the selection to the right, to the left, up and down, we use the arrow keys of the keyboard. But the fastest way to move the selection is, in most cases, to use the mouse pointer. In Excel, the normal mouse pointer is a white plus sign. If I want to select a cell, I just move the mouse pointer to the cell I want to select and click. Every cell has got a name. The cell I just selected is called C3. The name is built up by the column heading and the row heading. If you find it hard to interpret the name of a cell, you can just look in the name box where it is written. To select a group of cells, we can click in a cell, most commonly the upper cell of the group, and drag the mouse pointer over the group of cells with the left mouse button down. When we look in the lower left corner of the screen, we can see a Sheet tab called Sheet 1. So what we see in front of us are the cells of Sheet 1, a so-called worksheet. To add another worksheet, I move the mouse pointer down. It changes to a white arrow, and I click the plus sign to the right of the Sheet tab, Sheet 1. And there's my Sheet 2. How do I delete the worksheet? Well, I move the mouse pointer to the Sheet tab that represents the worksheet that I want to delete. I right-click the tab and choose Delete in the menu. How many rows are there in a worksheet? I use Ctrl plus arrow down, the keyboard shortcut, to see. And I can see that there's 1,048,576 rows. I go back up by using Ctrl plus arrow up. To go as far as possible to the right, I can use Ctrl plus arrow right. And I reach column XFD. It's hard to see the number of columns, so I tell you right away that there's 16,384 columns. To go back to cell A1, I can use Ctrl plus arrow left. The system is that the columns are named A to Z, thereafter AA to AZ, thereafter BA to BZ, etc. And there are also 3-letter combinations. How many cells are there in a worksheet? Let's make a calculation to find out. First, I check that cell A1 is selected. Then I write one worksheet. And I always have to enter my data into the cells, and a great way of doing that is to press enter on the keyboard, so I do. I press enter 2 times more. In cell A4, I write rows and press enter. In cell A5, I write columns, and I intentionally misspell it. I enter it anyway. Now I realize my mistake. How do I correct it? I select the cell once more. Then I move the mouse pointer up to this white part here. And the mouse pointer changes to an editing pointer. I click where I want to make the change. And now it works just like in Word. So I press the delete key of the keyboard and press enter to enter my data. In cell A6, I write cells and press enter, of course. I select B4. Here I'm gonna write the number of rows. 1,048,576. Columns 16,384. Of course, I still press enter to enter my data. Cells. Here for the first time, I'm gonna write a formula. And the formula in Excel always starts with an equal sign. And normally on a keyboard, I achieve that by using Shift 0. Now, I'm gonna make the multiplication here, rows times columns. And of course I could write the numbers once more, but a much better way in Excel is to use the cell references. And of course they are B4 and B5. I can write in B4 if I want to, but as I'm lazy where I can, I click instead in B4, and B4 is written in automatically. Then I'm going to use a multiplication sign, and that's an asterisk in Excel. So I write that, and I click in B5. My formula is ready, and I enter the data. In this case, I even enter a formula. And I can see that there's over 17 billions of cells in just one worksheet. Amazing. But I can also see that it's hard to read these numbers out, so I'm gonna use a trick. I select B4 to B6. Then I select the Home tab. I go to the group number. I click the button comma style. And I think this is much better. But I've got 2 decimals that I don't want. So I click on the button decrease decimal in the same group twice. Now it looks the way I want. Now I'm going to analyze the cells of the B column, and I start with cell B4 that is already selected. In the cell I see the number of rows, and up in the white part I see the same number. When I move to cell B5, I see the number of columns in the cell, and I see the same number up in the white part. But when I move down to cell B6, I see the result of the formula in the cell, and up in the white part I see the formula itself. And that's why that part is called the formula bar. Now I'm going to increase the font size of cell A1. So I select the cell, and I move the mouse pointer up to the group font, the button increase font size, and I click it twice. And I think this looks rather nice, so I'm ready to save my file. And the file in Excel is called a workbook. Up in the Quick Access toolbar, I see the Save button. I click it. And I could use this suggestion, but I click More Save Options. I can see that I can save on OneDrive and on SharePoint, but I choose to click Browse. To the left, I choose Local Disk C. And to the right, I double-click the folder Excel files because that's where I want to save my file. Now I just need a file name, and I choose My First Workbook because at least it's my first workbook today. And I click the Save button down to the right. I've given you an introduction to Excel. Thank you for listening.